If Napoleon had won the Battle of Waterloo on the 18th of June, 1815, the immediate and long-term consequences for Europe and the world could have been dramatically different. While any counterfactual history involves speculation, historians generally agree on several plausible outcomes. It is the afternoon of the 18th of June, 1815. The skies over Belgium are heavy with rain and gunpowder smoke. For 10 brutal hours, the fate of Europe has hung on muddy fields near a quiet village called Waterloo. The Duke of Wellington's lines are buckling, Blucher's Prussians, delayed by flooded roads and exhausted from forced marches, arrive too late to tip the balance. At the critical hour, Napoleon unleashes the Imperial Guard, not in desperation, but in triumph. The Anglo-Allied center collapses. Wellington, grim-faced, orders a fighting retreat that soon becomes a rout. Napoleon has won. Not a narrow escape, but a decisive, morale-shattering victory. The myth of his invincibility flickers back to life across Europe. In Paris, crowds erupt in jubilation. Royalist conspirators vanish into the shadows. The tricolor flies once more from every prefecture. But this is only the beginning. The Summer of the Phoenix, June-August 1815. Napoleon returns to Paris, not as a fugitive emperor, but as a conqueror reborn. He knows time is short. The Austrians are massing 200,000 men on the Rhine. The Russians march westward. The British prepare for another campaign, but now France rallies behind him, not out of fear, but hope. Veterans rejoin the colors. Factories hum with renewed purpose. The Banque de France stabilizes the franc, and Napoleon, ever the reformer, makes a stunning move. He proclaims a new constitution, the Acte, additional not as a concession but as a promise. A constitutional empire, a senate with real power, freedom of the press within limits. He even hints at abolishing slavery permanently in the colonies. Europe watches, stunned. Is this the same man who crowned himself in Notre Dame? Or has exile and defeat forged a wiser, more pragmatic ruler? The Congress fractures, late 1815. In Vienna, the victorious monarchs Metternich, Castlereagh, and Tsar Alexander are thrown into chaos. Their grand design for a restored monarchical Europe crumbles. Britain, though undefeated at sea, faces war weariness at home. Austria fears Russian dominance more than French resurgence. Prussia, humiliated at Waterloo, demands revenge, but its army is shattered. Secret emissaries cross the Rhine. Rumors swirl of a separate peace. Napoleon, sensing division, offers generous terms. France will withdraw from Belgium and the Rhineland, but keep Savoy, retain influence in Switzerland, and guarantee the sovereignty of the German Confederation under a new neutral framework. By winter, a fragile armistice holds. The Second Peace of Paris is signed not in humiliation, but negotiation. Napoleon remains emperor for now. The Napoleonic century begins. 1816. 1830. With peace secured, Napoleon turns inward. He launches the Grand Program. Railroads connecting Lyon to Marseille, canals linking the Seine to the Rhône, and schools in every département teaching science and civic duty. He reconciles with the church but keeps it subordinate to the state. His son, Napoleon II, is groomed not as a divine right monarch but as a citizen, emperor. Meanwhile, across Europe, the old order trembles. In Italy, secret societies like the Carbonari look to Paris, not Vienna, for inspiration. In Germany, students chant Liberté, Égalité, Fédération. In Poland, rebels dream of a Napoleonic protectorate against Russia. When revolutions erupt in 1,820 inches, Naples, Spain, and even parts of Prussia, Napoleon does not send armies to crush them. Instead, he issues the Declaration of National Rights, asserting that no people shall be ruled against their will. It's a masterstroke of ideological warfare. Metternich calls it the poison of Geneva in a golden cup. Britain, now locked in a cold peace with France, watches uneasily as French influence spreads through trade, diplomacy, and revolutionary sympathy. The Industrial Revolution accelerates, but now with two rival centers, London and Paris. The legacy: a different 19th century. Without the rigid conservatism of the Holy Alliance dominating Europe, liberalism gains earlier ground. German unification might come not under Prussian militarism, but as a federal republic inspired by French models. Italy unites faster, perhaps as a constitutional monarchy allied with France. Slavery ends sooner in the Atlantic world. Napoleon, seeking moral high ground against Britain, pushes abolition in 1818. Colonial empires evolve differently. France focuses on North Africa and the Levant, while Britain doubles down on India and Asia. And in 1848, the year of revolutions, the wave doesn't crash and recede. It succeeds. Republics bloom from Lisbon to Budapest. The concert of Europe becomes a congress of nations debating rights, borders, and commerce. Napoleon dies in 1835, not on a lonely rock in the Atlantic, but in the Tuileries, surrounded by ministers and engineers. His last words, according to legend: "I gave them time, now let them build." But was it sustainable? Even in this brighter timeline, contradictions remain. Napoleon's empire was still authoritarian at heart. Nationalism, once unleashed, could turn against France itself. Bretons, Basques, and Alsatians might demand autonomy, and Britain's naval and financial power would still loom large. Yet the key difference is this: a Napoleonic victory at Waterloo doesn't mean eternal empire. It means a different path toward modernity, one where revolution and reform walk hand in hand, where the 19th century isn't defined by reaction but by a tense, creative struggle between order and liberty, with Paris, not just London or Berlin, as its guiding star. In our world, Waterloo marked the end of an era. In that world, it was the spark of a new one.